Happy New Year, everyone. Today on Theoretical Nonsense, we're going to be discussing the creation of the Hulk and pheromones. Stay tuned. Welcome to Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required.
We're the podcast that recaps all the episodes of The Big Bang Theory. No spoilers.
So hop into your favorite spot.
Make yourself a grasshopper
and enjoy the ride. Hello there, Ryan, and hello
2025. Hi, Rob, and welcome to the new year. It's going to be the new year when this airs.
First episode of the new year. Woo! Hope everyone had a great holiday season and a happy new year.
Me too. Maybe you had a grasshopper or two, but you're feeling okay.
Yep, maybe. Hopefully you're still hungover.
That would be bad. Maybe go to the doctor if you are.
Well, let's start this new year off with a little bit of Desperation.
Desperation.
We just listened to season 4, episode 5, the Desperation Emanation. What did you think of this episode?
I loved it. I loved it. There are things about Sheldon that are kind of, I guess I can kind of see me like that too, but a little annoying. I'm like, I'm not finding that as funny as maybe I should. But I tell you, Howard and Bernadette, it's beautiful interaction, beautiful characters. I thought they were hilarious. And I was, I guess not much Raj in this episode, but still hilarious parts that I was laughing at.
Yes. Great seeing all the coupling and the different dynamics and everything like that. Glad that Howard and Bernadette are together. They're clicking really well. The advancement of Shamey. Yeah.
And apparently Raj has a girlfriend, or so he says, right?
So he says. I guess we'll find out later. Or is he just fronting?
Or maybe it's a doll, no
she's
judging.
Right next to me. Do you not see her?
Do you not see her? They're being rude to you, honey. Let's go.
Let's get out of here. Well, before we dive in, a little bit of housekeeping. Don't forget to email us. We like to read emails. It's email us at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. Leave us a review if you like what you hear on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We love them 5-star reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Theoretical Nonsense Pod, which we finally got back to. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. We're back on social media.
Yay.
Took about 6 months, but we finally got to it. We finally settled down into life, and we're in a position where we actually have time. So, you're welcome, world.
Hopefully it stays that way. Knock on wood.
Yes. But should we, anything else to add before we just get started?
I think that's all. I think we can dive in. So we have the Desperation Emanation. I don't know why that word seems hard for me. Emanation. Aired Emanation. October 21st, 2010. I think it's funny because we're just finishing up the holidays, getting through the holidays, and we're about to go into the holiday episodes. In fact, I saw there was a deal for digital downloads on Fandango at Home that you could buy like half the cost or something. The Big Bang Theory holiday episodes. I'm like, I want them, but I can't watch them without. Yeah, it's no spoilers. I got to watch them in order. So
I've been actually doing that like all season long. I just kind of go through. Always Friends. Always watch the Friends Thanksgiving episodes. Always watch the Friends Christmas episodes. I throw in like The Office here and there. Just about those Christmas episodes.
How I Met Your Mother Halloween episodes with the sexy pumpkin, slutty pumpkin. Slutty pumpkin. I was trying to be nice. Man, those were good episodes.
Yep.
Okay, so this one directed by Mark Sandrowski, writers Chuck Lorre, Bill Prady, and Stephen Malaro. We open up in the apartment and Leonard and Sheldon are watching a movie, and it turns out to be a Hulk. And Leonard mentions that if they took all the money that they used to try to make a decent Hulk movie, they could just make a Hulk. And this is where my first IQ point comes into play because, I guess I can't really price out, itemize the cost of an experiment to make the Hulk, but I have something pretty close. And so I added up three Hulk movies within a decade of each other. We get the 2003 Hulk with Eric Bana and Jennifer Connelly, which is the one that they mentioned they are watching. So that's like 10 years after the fact. Almost 10 years after the fact, I guess. Then there's a 2008 Hulk with Edward Norton and Liv Tyler. And this aired before it, but I'm going to throw it in there just to have some budget to work with. The Avengers had Mark Ruffalo, and I guess Mark Ruffalo never had his own Hulk movie as of yet, right? So I've heard some rumors. Maybe it's coming, maybe it's not. But the Avengers came out in 2012, and that started Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. So 3 Hulks in a 10-year period. 2003 with Eric Bana was budgeted at $137 million, $137 million to make. The 2008 version is estimated, and this is according to Wikipedia, $137.5 to $150 million. And for this, let's just go with the high end, 150. And the 2012 Avenger movie was 220 to 225 million. So let's just go with 225. And we total that to $512 million the government could have used to make a Hulk, right? And the question is, could it work? And what I've been seeing lately is technically there's been some comparisons to the movie The Martian and actually going to Mars. Have you seen those?
The Martian as in Matt Damon?
Matt Damon's Martian.
I've never heard of the other one, though.
No, just actually developing a project to go to Mars.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant it was a movie called Going to Mars. I was like,
Going to Mars.
I've heard of that.
It's an entertaining movie. So apparently, according to The Wire, The Martian starring Matt Damon was $108 million. And what people are comparing it to is India's first interplanetary mission, which took place on November 5th, 2013, called, I'm going to butcher this, I apologize, Mangalyaan, cost $74 million. So technically, it was more expensive to make The Martian than for India to fund a project to go to Mars by like $20 million, over $20 million, almost $30 million, right? So anyways, the issue with this is apparently only 40% of Mars missions, according to The Wire, are a success. So there's plenty of missions that fail epically, I guess. And it said that NASA's Mars probe, MAVEN, is estimated at about $651 million. So although India's project was successful and cost them $74 million, NASA's, it was way above the Martian movie. And I would say that if we were realistic, we should compare U.S. government to U.S. movies making the Hulk. That let's estimate to make a Hulk about $651 million. I'm guessing it's probably as expensive for NASA to develop the technology to get to Mars. Maybe it's more, I don't know. But what I can say is that's still more than the $512 million that they could have used from the 3 movies combined. So technically, I would say making the Hulk would have been more expensive and we would have had no Hulk movies. But it's close, and I was curious enough to look into this.
Yeah, I was kind of curious too, but I only did the budget stuff.
So just the budget. Did you find the same budgets, or because I'm like Wikipedia might be lying?
I didn't look at the Avengers. I just looked at I was like on Fandango and IMDb, and they said the same thing, that the 2003 one was 137 million and the 2008 Incredible Hulk was 150. And I've still never seen the Eric Bana one.
I did when it first came out. I don't know if I saw the Edward Norton one. I think I did.
That was pretty good. But I liked it.
Can't remember it. I don't know. I just there's a blank spot. I'm like, I remember sitting down to watch an Edward Norton movie, and then it's like 2 hours of my life are just gone. Like they're Men in Black style
American
erased.
History X.
Oh, that's what it was. Followed by Fight Club.
Yeah. I don't see a green monster anywhere in this.
This is the weirdest Hulk I've ever seen. So him and Brad Pitt were the Hulk all along? What? Good movie, though.
Yeah.
And speaking of Fight Club, the writer Chuck Palahniuk, I'm going to bring him up later in the episode, so it's going to tie back. All right, anything to add to that one?
No, just love comic book stuff. Like, yeah.
It's nice. So Sheldon says he's going to share that joke with Amy. She will appreciate it, and it's going to put Leonard in a better light. Apparently, she's not a fan of Leonard. They talk about that.
Reshape her opinion.
Reshape her opinion.
He made a bad first impression.
Exactly. Although she's not very nice. So, yeah, he tried.
He didn't exactly make the best first impression either.
Exactly. And they bring up that their status is still the same. She's a friend, but she's not a girlfriend. And he uses air quotes. And I think this is my only point for the episode, but it's going to Sheldon because I am not a fan of people using air quotes. And I'm not a fan of people using quotes in essays. When I have to read essays, Sheldon apologizes for using air quotes. I do not like air quotes. For some reason, in essays I read for school, students love to use what would be air quotes. And I'm like, first of all, more than half the time you do that, you're not saying what you actually think you're saying. And you end up with stuff that like is sarcastic or straight up offensive. I don't know.
So did it bother you before we started recording when I used air quotes like multiple times?
Every fucking time, Rob.
Every time. All right. You were upset.
You're upset. These are your emotions.
I'm sorry.
This podcast.
Sorry, everyone, if you weren't actually watching this, I was air quoting the entire time. And I'm not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. Air quotes. So, anyways, I respect that opinion, and I think that people overuse quotes in writing, and it gets weird very quickly and straight up offensive or just stupid. I'm like, what? Just don't use quotes. Save quotes for things that are actually said out loud. There you go.
Wait, so are they? So when they use the quotes, they're not using it correctly, as in it's not an actual quote.
Yeah, they're using it as almost like emphasis to emphasize a word, but quotes aren't for emphasis; they are for like sarcasm.
Isn't italicized supposed to be for emphasis? Okay, yes.
Yep. And I'm fine with that. I would argue though that if you aren't emphasizing things enough in your own language, you probably shouldn't. You should reword things that you shouldn't rely on italics for emphasis, that you're kind of like it's a crutch, and something might be wrong if you are using italics. But at the same time, I understand what they're there for, and I understand why they need to be used sometimes or they want to be used. But quotes are not italics, and things get weird. I don't know. You can look up, if anybody's ever looked it up, misusage of quotes. And things will say like men's air quote bathroom on a sign. And it's like, it's not a bathroom. What the hell is it? Or
I've seen that.
What's I can't. Yeah. Just Google misuse of quotes, and all these funny signs come up of people misusing quotes that are like, what are they talking about? Or even I don't know. I can't think of any. I want to say like a stop sign with quotes around stop. Like stop, air quotes. Like
stop.
So you don't want me to stop? Like, this seems dangerous. Okay, so not a fan of air quotes. 1 point for Sheldon. Leonard asked if Sheldon feels the need to be in the same room with Amy, like this compelling need to be together. And Sheldon points out he doesn't really like being in the same room as anyone, that he's like Sheldon or Leonard's his closest friend and he can barely tolerate being on the same couch as him. And then Sheldon brings up kind of the highlight of the episode, that Leonard is jealous that everybody's in a relationship except for Leonard, so he's lonely. Then we have the intro, and I just realized I don't think Penny's in this episode at all, is she?
Wait, wait. Oh my god, is she not?
It just clicked with me that she's not in it, because I'm like, you know what? Penny's not in a relationship. Oh, but she's not in the episode.
Oh my god. Hold on. I am
double checking this.
I can't believe I didn't notice that. Like, so many things happened that, like,
I think she's been in like every single episode, so it's weird that, and it like snuck by us too.
Come on, episode guide, where are you?
Internet connection, don't lag now.
Come to Papa.
Because as far as we know,
okay, yeah, she only got a credit, but she wasn't in it. Yeah, yeah, it says credit only.
Huh?
But must be part of her contract.
I don't. We're gonna have to pay more attention. I figured she'd be in every. I figured everybody would be in every episode, but maybe. Huh. But yeah, so as far as we know, she's not in a relationship, so it makes sense that she's not in it because everybody else is kind of rubbing it in Leonard's face.
Yeah.
We have the intro. We are back at the apartment, and Sheldon mentions just kind of whimsically, randomly, that in all the multi-universe, all the universes out there, if there's an infinite number of universe, there's probably a Sheldon out there who doesn't believe in the multiverse. And then he laughs and says it just makes him chuckle. And then he asks Leonard, good segue, what makes you chuckle, Leonard? And Leonard says nothing much recently. He's depressed because he's single. And Sheldon makes a remark about the lack of chuckling being due to not having a female companion, basically. And Sheldon's, like, one of the rare times Sheldon tries to help, mentions that when his grandmother lost her husband, his grandfather passed away, she was depressed, so they took her to a center where she was able to socialize. And Leonard says he doesn't want to go to a senior center, but it wasn't an actual senior center. It was, it was a senior center. It wasn't
a home.
It wasn't a home, right?
Don't put me in a home. He's like, she's not in a home. She's in a senior center.
So they draw a line there, apparently. And then we flash forward to the comic book store. And we get Howard's phone ringing, and apparently he has a special ringtone for his girlfriend, Bernadette. And it is Bernadette by the Four Tops. Raj smiles and giggles, and he says, my ringtone's Brown Eyed Girl. And then he pauses this video laugh. Now that I think about it, that's not so good. So, like, it's finally clicking with him. That's a bad thing for him. It's an insult.
And that song is the song that he actually played to her when he was playing the piano at the Cheesecake Factory. By the Four Tops. It was the same song.
Nice catch.
Yeah,
I didn't know
good
that
song. I actually looked it up on Spotify. That's a really good song.
I gotta listen to it. I didn't realize that. Like, I knew it was a real song, but I don't think I've heard in a long time, and I did not catch that that's the song he played. So it comes out that Leonard is the only one without a girlfriend, and they bring up, how does Raj have a girlfriend? He can't talk in front of girls. Well, he says his girlfriend is deaf, and he doesn't have to talk to her, right? Stuart comes in, and he says he has a girlfriend too, and this part made me laugh. He met her at Comic-Con, where is probably the only place on Earth where you can say, I own a comic book store, and use that as a pickup line. And everyone's like, that's wonderful. And he goes, no, it's actually horrible. When she has sex, she puts on her plus-size Wonder Woman outfit and says, who wants to take a ride in my invisible plane? And
I can't tell if he was shaming. Like, it does kind of, like, sorry, I want to chime in for a second, that it does kind of bother me a little bit how much, like, they body shame. That's something that does bother me a little bit about this show is like they do make comments like this here and there, which didn't really age well. I
Yeah.
understand the joke and everything like that, but it's something that kind of does bother me a little bit. That like really, it's low hanging fruit and it's unappreciated coming from a former fat person.
And there was no reason to throw the plus size in there. I think the quote by itself, "Who wants to take a ride in my invisible plane," was
That she's
funny
aggressive,
enough.
pretty much, is that like she's like overly aggressive. That like
Yeah.
that could have been the joke in itself.
And, I'm not one to kink shame, but if that's how you have to have sex all the time, and it's like so out of place, and like his eyes speak trauma, so I'm like, what has he been through? Was he riding the invisible plane, or was she riding it? I don't know. But it does take me back to the episode where Sheldon's, what is it, co-writer? Oh, I forgot her name. Comes in and wants them to play like the landlords, and she doesn't have rent to pay them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, Judy Greer's character.
Judy Greer, I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that one. So, anyways, I thought the joke was fine by itself, and him saying it's horrible. No need to add the plot. That was and again, it's didn't age well. I'm guessing 15 years ago things were a little bit. I don't know. I still think it was a cheap jab, and it wasn't needed for it to be funny. So he says he can't break up with her, though, because he's going to be alone like Leonard. And apparently that's the worst thing you can be. So you take what you can get, apparently. And Raj suggests Howard should set Leonard up. And that goes into, what do they call it? The friend code? It's not even the bro code. It's like the friend code.
It was the girlfriend pact.
The girlfriend pact. There we go.
Yeah, that Howard wanted Leonard to honor, but now Leonard has too much pride.
Yeah, he's too prideful, although it happens. So we are at the apartment, and Leonard is on the couch, and he's face down. Sheldon comes in and says he looks depressed. And Leonard says, no one loves him, so he's depressed. Sheldon acts kind of nice, but it's still no reason to have his feet in Sheldon's spot, and he pushes them out of the way, basically. And then Amy offers a suggestion, because apparently she's been on the computer the whole freaking time. And he brings up, like, how long she been on there? Well, since we got back from the comic book store. It's been like 2 hours, and she's just been, like, I guess watching him sleep on the couch or something. I don't know, but I love it. That made me laugh.
Like, you wanted us to spend more time together.
Yeah.
Which is just like, because he wasn't even in the room.
Right? I don't know where he was or what he was doing, and she was just like there. Amy suggests that Leonard's pheromones might be making a stink of depression. And that's where the episode title comes from. Desperation, Emanation, to emanate pheromones of desperation. And this is where my second and final IQ point is. I didn't get many IQ points today.
This was actually my only IQ point too.
IQ point.
Yeah, I wasn't really going to count the Hulk one as an IQ point, but you know what? You did it too, so we're counting it.
We did it, and we added the bit about the Martian, so yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, it's an IQ point. We got two.
It's two. So you would take this one? I'll add to it?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So I did some research if your pheromones can actually create a literal stink of depression. And I found this on the Smithsonian from 2012 and Live Science in 2009. And from what I found, it could be a possibility. Mm-hmm. This might actually be a thing. Granted, I couldn't find any studies that actually specified in Desperation, but I found some stuff that show that people can actually detect characteristics based off scent. So one study showed that when presented with a sweat of a person, the smeller is actually able to tell whether they were anxious or not. So I thought that was really interesting. Of course, it didn't go into the actual study itself. It didn't show who was studied, how they were studied, how the test was actually conducted. But that's what the finding reported.
We were torturing everybody, so everybody was really anxious, but they smelled it.
But basically, what I took from this is like, well, if they could identify the anxiety sweat, they probably can detect the desperation sweat. So, in addition to this, pheromones can even sense sexual intentions of others. So I found a study that presented sweat from men from an aroused state versus a unaroused state to different women, and their brains were actually triggered based on the sweat. It was triggered differently based on what sweat that they're listening to. So obviously, when a man was aroused and they're sweating, it is permeating a specific type of scent. So that was a really funny study. Did you read up on that study too?
I was reading the Smithsonian magazine, but I think I missed that study or that part of it.
Basically, men were. It's funny how they conduct these studies and how they choose to do them. Basically, they had a bunch of guys watch porn and then like get aroused, and then they would collect their sweat. So awkward. And then they would have them sweat in a different situation where they're unaroused. Then they had a bunch of brave women to just smell the sweat, and they would measure their brain activity. And based off what they were smelling, their brains reacted differently. But it was similar enough, so they knew that there was a difference in sweat.
Interesting. I missed that one where they were showing the guys porn. Like, here's some
Yeah.
porn. We're gonna turn up the heat. Oh, it's getting a little hot in here.
But yeah, like your pheromone does like kind of emit something. Like there was another study that I found on pheromones. Again, it was a really funny one. It was the effect that tears had on men. So women were actually watching a sad movie and then their tears were collected. And apparently those tears when placed under the noses of men as a unidentified liquid substance, so they didn't know what it was. I don't know how they just determined this, but it lowered arousal and their
Here, smell my
testosterone.
fingers. What?
Yeah, smell this liquid. What happens? Huh, you got softer. Weird.
Huh. You lost your erection.
But apparently, tears naturally sends this message that romance is off the table. So maybe I was actually thinking about this, that maybe that's what women are smelling on him. Maybe he's actually been doing a little bit of crying because he's like so sad and depressed. Maybe the tears are actually like scenting his aura and energy. So women are just being turned off by him.
Yeah, you're a downer, dude. And that's what I was kind of
can't
thinking
help
too.
it.
I was thinking, oh, did you have more?
Oh no, I just the last thing that I had is we actually had a previous IQ point about pheromones. I don't know if you remember this one.
I remember talking about them, but I don't remember what we talked about.
It was in season 2, episode 21, the Vegas renormalization, where we discussed how colognes actually how we discussed how colognes and how scent is actually a major contributor to attractiveness. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
I was looking at the same article, so same information. The only things I was going to add to it is that, I think pheromones are usually perpetuated or recognized as aphrodisiacs. Like that's our go-to is like, oh, they make people want to have sex, and people think aphrodisiacs are like you smell them, you want to fuck right then and there, and like that's not really what pheromones are. That's not what aphrodisiacs are. In fact, last I heard, and I could be wrong on this, that the only true aphrodisiac is Spanish fly. And it's actually an irritant, and it causes irritation in like the penis or the loins. That makes it feel kind of like it's ready to go. Although I don't know, maybe Viagra counts as an aphrodisiac now. But anyways, pheromones aren't necessarily like that. It just kind of recognizes somebody else might be in the mood, and it's kind of like seeing somebody who looks good in a bathing suit. It's not going to make you want to have sex right then and there, but your brain's going to kind of adjust to it and be like, oh, that's nice. Maybe that's my understanding of it. And then there's also the article talked about, the effects aren't that dramatic, so it's kind of hard to record the changes. Like you said, they're kind of recording the pulse, the brain waves and stuff, but it's not like I don't even know if the individual smelling the tears would recognize that their dick just got softer. Maybe I thought it was already soft, but it just went up inside me type thing.
Just shot inside me.
Whoa, that went way up in there. These are tears, aren't they? I know tears. But also, a lot of the experiments have been using pheromones from the armpits, and this one with the tears is from Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel, kind of establishing that we could potentially have different pheromones from different liquids of our bodies. And the question, too, is if it's tears of sadness versus tears of joy, would they release a different chemical compound that would be a different pheromone? And I guess there's just a lot we don't know. I think the article also talked about how babies can smell the pheromones of milk on breasts and can be attracted to breasts, even like when they can't see, I guess. So it's like different parts of the body are releasing different pheromones. It's totally plausible that desperation could play in there in some way, shape, or form, especially if he has a poor diet, poor hygiene, not brushing his teeth or getting enough sleep. All those probably are influences chemical compounds. I don't know, and the research isn't quite there yet. Yeah.
It was interesting.
Especially
the studies. Like, I think that was the most shocking thing, was like that people actually took the time to design a study, and it was like, how are we going to figure this out? Well, I guess we could just collect the sweat of guys who watch porn.
We'll put on some porn.
Round table is like.
Dude, you're already watching porn. Yeah, I just went to include it.
And I noticed I smelled differently.
It's for science.
All in the name of science.
And that there was a quote somewhere in there. I didn't completely understand it, but it said something about like the difficulties of this, and something about like that people use the armpit sweat, but it said something also about, and there's the laws. I'm like, what laws? Like, apparently, if there were no laws, they could actually perform more experiments, I guess.
That's right. What's stopping them. It's either armpit sweat or dick sweat.
Dick sweat. Apparently, there's laws against the dick sweat, so I don't know. Okay, so yeah, good IQ point. I like hearing about that stuff. I think it's really fascinating.
About dick sweat?
About dick sweat. Big dick sweat and porn. Yes. I can smell the interest.
God, we're getting canceled.
Oh, yeah. You can't cancel us.
We're going to keep pumping out the episodes regardless.
You'll smell them when they come. Oh, man. Amy suggests, because of his desperation, maybe Leonard should go out and try a bar or tavern. But there are other bars than ones that serve alcohol, because it turns out Sheldon goes on kind of a discussion of bars are used to test masculinity, how much a man can drink, how well he can play darts while he's drinking or separately. Although, I didn't give myself a point either way for this, but I know when I was single, I would get really frustrated when people would come to me and say, have you tried this? Have you tried, as if I hadn't tried those things? Like, have you tried online dating? And it's like, you think I haven't fucking tried online dating?
Do you know about this thing called Tinder?
Tinder? No, I've never heard of it. Thank you for introducing me to the real world of Tinder. Man, that started getting frustrating when I was dating. So anyways, they bring up there are other bars, juice bars, sushi bars, the Apple Genius Bar, which Leonard scoffs at, but next thing we know, he's going there. Yep. Leonard leaves, and Sheldon and Amy talk about their words of the day. Capricorn. Yeah. I didn't write them down. I thought I was going to remember them.
I did.
Thank you.
It was
cornucopia.
Yeah, and they describe that as a mellifluous word, which they will use tomorrow.
which I looked at Mellifluous and it means like singing, kind of singing musical quality. And I was surprised because I was thinking it's like almost like malicious. So I thought like I would have assumed it meant something bad or like corrupt or evil, but it means something nice. So Sheldon is about to
I thought it was
go.
kind of nice that they do word of the day.
That
It's
is.
it's something that Christina and I always talk about. Like, let's do that, but then word of the day is actually kind of hard to actually like learn the word and try to fit it in. It's actually a little harder than like what we'd expect.
So you
And
don't just read it and move on.
yeah, I do Toastmasters here and there. I've only been like a handful of meetings, but that's one of the things that you do at Toastmasters, where they have a word of the day, and
Mhm.
anybody can chime in and try to use it as often as they can.
Oh.
It's tough.
I should try to incorporate that in my life somehow. Eh, that's what like one of the number one things with writing students, especially like the creative writers, is how do I grow my vocabulary? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Just cross your fingers
Watch
and hope
movies.
words stick.
Honestly, like I don't have the biggest vocabulary in the world, but I do know like every time I say like a word that like Christina's never heard of, it was like, how do you know that word? I'm like, I don't know, TV.
That's what I used one a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember even what it was, but Kelsey's like, what does that mean? I used a synonym, and she's like, why didn't you use that in the first place? I'm like, I don't know, it wasn't the word that came to my mind.
Yeah,
The
that's
other one
what's
is
on
in
my mind.
there. I don't know what it was. It's like
Was it Dick Sweat?
it was Dick Sweat. There we go. And the synonym was Dick Sweat. It's like, oh yeah, now I know what it means.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. Why didn't you say Dick Sweat? Oh, I thought I did.
We're losing so many subscribers right now.
The holidays are over. We're gonna go in a downswing anyways.
Yeah.
Wow. Before they hang up, Amy asks if Sheldon will meet his mother, and he acts very calmly. He says, I will consider it. Thank you for asking, basically, very polite. And he closes his laptop saying goodnight, and then immediately gets up and starts shouting, Leonard, 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 running all the way downstairs, and says, Amy, he asks, what does this mean? She wants me to meet her mother, and Leonard, in quotes, air quotes, Amy is a friend who is a girl who isn't a girlfriend. Well, you can't say that anymore. Yeah. So it's very clear she is a girlfriend. Sheldon says Leonard needs to fix it. Take Amy off my hands. She wants a boyfriend. You need a girlfriend. There you go. And Leonard uses physics phrasing to basically say Sheldon is screwed. And I wrote this down later. I can see if I can find exactly what the wording was. Joined to another object by an inclined plane wrapped helically around an axis. And Sheldon says, I'm screwed. So apparently that's a way of saying to be screwed to something, I suppose. Next shot, we are at Howard's house, and it's clear that Leonard is wearing a blue shirt with an apple on it. Where the hell did he come from? And Howard's mom yells for Howard to get the door because she is getting a bowel cleanse, preparing for a colonoscopy the next day. Howard answers the door and asks about Leonard's shirt. And I love that he like immediately clicks. You were at the Apple Genius bar.
Yeah, they don't. None of them have the widest wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sheldon is constantly cycling through like the same like 8 shirts.
Green Lantern
pretty much has the same. Even Leonard has like the same style. He always has like some sort of like his jacket, a zip up, and a t-shirt. And stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, it's very easy to know what shirts that everybody has.
He's like, you're at the Apple Genius bar trying to pick up women. And he admits to it. He says that apparently they guard the iPods, but not the shirts. You just pick one up. And it was working pretty well until the guard caught whiff of him showing a woman how to boot up in safe mode. Apparently there is a little jail in the mall. He got held in for a while. And Howard says, don't go back with a mustache on. They're not geniuses, but they see right through that shit. So he's been there, done that, apparently. Leonard invokes the girlfriend pact. He wants Howard to set him up, and Bernadette set him up, and he wants what Howard has. Right as Howard's mom mentions that she is like an upside down volcano, and she can't believe that there's so much poop coming out of her tuchus. Leonard clarifies he meant with Bernadette, not with Howard's mom. So I like how that circles back, that she can't answer the door because she's on the toilet.
Yeah.
Back at the apartment, Sheldon is deleting his internet presence. And, for as smart as he is, I don't know what made him think that this would work. He's thinking, I don't know, not even logically, just scientifically, I guess. But he's changed the numbers on his apartment building even. And Leonard's like, how are people going to get mail? And I love that the mail carrier said, got your back, Jack. Bitches be crazy. Is the quote.
I actually did. This isn't an IQ point, but I actually did take their address and look at and MapQuest it.
Ooh, yeah. What'd you find?
Map it. Well, I just told you my age. I said MapQuest.
MapQuest. Oh shit, that's not the right thing.
Google mapped it. And yeah, there is a Los Robles Avenue, which is really close to Caltech. So it kind of makes sense that they would be on that road, but there is no 2311. Yeah. So it was a made up place.
So this is like the 13th and a half pillar in Harry Potter or whatever it is at the train station.
9 3/4.
9 3/4.
God, get it right, Ryan.
God damn. Maybe if I haven't read the books.
Oh, you should.
Oh, can't do it. Hate rolling too much.
Oh, yeah. She's not the best.
She's not. She's not.
We'll leave
nice.
We'll leave it at that.
I've gotten better because I understand that you respect the art, not the artist, and Harry Potter influenced so many people's lives. Basically, what I'm saying is, if I have kids, we can go to Harry Potter Land. I might go to that for them if that's what they love. But I'll probably put in a little bit of a fight.
I do look forward to reading those books to Hunter, just because they actually were very impactful for me. I really enjoyed reading them, and actually where he's at that stage where he just loves looking at books and reading books. It'll be fun once he's at a certain age where we could just sit down before he goes to bed and read a chapter and go to sleep.
Yeah. If somebody came forward and said J.R.R. Tolkien I don't know killed people on the side, I think I'd be crushed. I would still love Lord of the Rings, but man, my soul would be bruised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does make a difference. It's musical artists and everything like that. It's like I used to listen back in the day, Bad Boy Records. You listen to a lot of that stuff, Puff Daddy, P Diddy, R. Kelly, but then all this stuff came out, it's dude, I can't listen to you anymore.
I can't do it. Or it's
ugh.
Kevin Spacey, right? I love some of his work.
But didn't he came out on top, kind of the courts just granted his shit happened, but
yeah,
but at the same time the courts did decide that he was innocent.
I believe he didn't face charges, but shit happened. Enough shit happened.
Shit happened.
Yeah, that's
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Statement redacted. Kevin Spacey, you're out.
You're out. But God, I love Usual Suspects in 7. Oh man. In American Beauty. Fuck, American Beauty was beautiful.
Yep.
All right. So, anyways, where the hell was I? Oh, he's deleting his things. The building doesn't actually exist. Amy knocks at the door, and Sheldon tells Leonard to lie. And is kind of surprised that she found the address, but she's been there before. So, how would she not?
I know it's
okay. Sheldon says to lie that he's not there and hides in the hallway, where almost in plain view. And Leonard opens the door and basically says, "Sheldon's not here." Sheldon says, "Nice use of details," because he was trying to say use details to make the perfect lie. But Amy walks away. Everything's fine. At the restaurant, Leonard thanks Bernadette, who says she takes packs very seriously, so she understands the girlfriend pact, and mentions a time where a petri dish went missing in her laboratory, and that day there was a handshake and a swear never to admit that they crossed Ebola with the common cold.
I love that so much.
So,
How I was like, why would you do that?
we never did.
Wink, wink.
That would be a terrible thing.
Terrible thing.
That might be one of my favorite bits from the whole show so far. We didn't have it there. And that just made her character like go up to like number one right now for me. I love her. That would be a terrible.
Like that, the backstory of the things that happen on the side with her. She could be her own TV show.
Right? That'd be a terrible, terrible thing.
Like her mom that ran an illegal daycare.
That's great. So a woman comes in from the gym, and we have Joy entering. And she quickly, talking about sweat and pheromones, wipes off with her dinner napkin to dry off because she just got done working out. And we have guest star Charlotte Newhouse. I've never seen it, but she was known for Idiot Sitter. And she's been on a lot of different shows, basically one character here and there. And I've seen some of them, but I didn't really recognize her. Did you?
I didn't either. Like the one that I like should have recognized her from is Community, because I've watched Community so many times. Granted, she only has like a 15-second scene.
Yeah,
but it's like you'd think that I would have remembered her, but I just I've never
registered. So it's clear she's kind of obnoxious, and she mentions
I was getting such like. I wonder if she was modeled after like Jane Lynch, because I was getting such Jane Lynch vibes from her like the entire episode.
I could see that. Are you thinking of a certain character she's played, or
she only plays the same character.
Same character? You know, she's known for Glee,
a little
right?
Loud. Yeah, Glee is like one of the first times I saw her, but like she's always kind of like that loud and obnoxious kind of character, kind of in your face.
Yeah,
kind of character. So like that's why I just kind of got that vibe. Like
I just saw her in something when she's
Only Murders in the Building.
She is in that, and she's
fantastic.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
That and Party Down, she's excellent in that too.
Yes.
But there was something that was, I want to say, it's like years and years. She was a lot, like 20 years ago or something. That we just happened to be watching. I'm like, holy shit, that's I can't remember what it was. But and then Kelsey's like, who is that? I'm like, the woman from Glee. And she's like, oh, from Early Murders. I'm like, yeah. But yeah, you're right. She's usually just the up in your face, right? But I could see her being modeled after that. And apparently she's been taking a self-defense course and has learned 100 different ways to rip nuts off. And then her thing is to Krav Maga, shout out a number and say 42 and try to punch Leonard's dick. So that's how the date's going. And then we are in the foyer. Sheldon's walking down the stairs and naming stars. Has he played into this before? I didn't recognize it, but it seemed like it was a common thing. And he's never done it.
I tried to look into if this was like a thing.
Yeah,
I didn't find anything from it. So it's just
for this episode,
Sheldonian thing.
But he's naming stars and like using the beats as he steps down, an OCD trigger, I guess, or a tick. And he gets to a certain point and gets it wrong and has to go all the way back upstairs and start again. And then he gets to the last one. This is the other thing, is like he's not mapped it out quite right. So like he gets to the bottom step and has to take several steps to get the rhyme to end. And then he hops off the stairs. But he sees Amy waiting outside for him. I didn't write it down. It says, bitches be crazy, right?
Oh my God, he's right. Bitches do be crazy.
And runs back upstairs. Back at the restaurant, Joy has like a lobster and burps and says the lobster tastes as good coming up as it does going down. And
So classy.
Leonard
So
mentions
classy.
it should for $30 a pound. And this isn't a Sheldon Leonard thing, so no points. But I did make a side note that would really piss me off about Leonard. I think I've talked to you about this, and probably on the podcast if anybody remembers. But I'm really big that if you are hosting somebody and you have a guest, or if you're taking somebody to dinner and you have made that option, you don't say shit. You can complain afterwards, but you never say shit in front of them. And there's a scene in To Kill a Mockingbird where Scout and her father, her family, have a neighbor kid over. I can't remember the whole thing. I just remember that he's from a poor family. Two things I remember. I remember that he's really thin, and they assume that he has tapeworm or some sort of worm because he doesn't have shoes and he works with in pig shit all day, and that's how the tapeworm goes up your system and you cough it out and it goes into your intestines or whatever. Hookworm maybe. So he's really thin, he doesn't have shoes, and when they feed him, he asks for syrup, and he pours syrup all over everything, and Scout's about to bitch about it, and her caretaker says basically, shut the fuck up, Scout. You never say anything about your guest. You just let them do it. And that scene's always stuck out to me. Very powerful. That be a gracious host, I guess, if you're going to host. If not, then you shouldn't have gone out on the date. So anyways, that did rub me the wrong way about Leonard. I know he's not having a good time, but he's not being respectful either.
Yeah.
So she says it's a date, and he agrees it is. She shouts 73 and jumps at him, and he, flinches. But she has to go to the bathroom. Bernadette joins her, and she says, just a warning, my pee's going to stink. I had asparagus. So very, very, like you said, Jane Lynchy, very bold in your face.
Yeah.
And Howard says he thinks Joy's really into Leonard. It's going well. Back at the foyer, Sheldon is dressed up in his winter coat and what are those called? The mustache and glasses and big nose. There's a name for them. I can't remember. And he tries to sneak by Amy, who's sitting on the stairs. She sees right through it, like the people at the Apple Genius bar, apparently. And says she thinks there's been a misunderstanding. And he says he doesn't want to be joined to another object by an inclined plane wrapped helically, man, I can't pronounce that, around an axis. And she goes, in what way are you screwed? I love
that she just knew.
Instantly, right?
Yeah.
And she's kind of frustrated too.
Yeah.
She's Sheldon-esque. She gets him. She wants to present Sheldon as her boyfriend to get her mom off her back. And it finally clicks. Oh, I get this. And he says, so you're not hopelessly in love. And she says she finds love to be a cultural construct that adds no value to human relationships. And so I promised I was going to bring Chuck Palahniuk back into the discussion. He has a book called Consider This about writing. It's writing advice. And in it, one of the only pieces, I don't know, I've heard that if you can remember one thing from a book, you're doing pretty good. And this is the one thing I really remember from that book is if you ever say something is absolute one way or another in the story, you have to challenge that. So if she's saying she finds being hopelessly in love, impractical, I'm going to make a prediction. She's going to find it very practical in the future. Something's going to change and she's going to fall hopelessly in love. And it's going to challenge her character in that way. So that's my prediction from that one little quote of hers. They are going back to their regular status, boy/friend/boy or girl/friend status. Yeah.
So many slashes.
So many slashes.
It's their version of air quotes.
Right? It's air quote boy/boy/friend. He invites her to dinner and she says, don't suffocate me. They say goodnight and go their own ways. I like that ending. Back at the restaurant, Howard says Joy might grow on Leonard. Leonard says this is the worst date. And again, he's being very overdramatic. And Howard mentions that he was once robbed by a pre-op transsexual he met on J-Date. And that didn't even crack the top 10. So it's his top 10 worst dates. And you know,
Like this really, in the grand scheme of all things, this is not that bad of a date.
yeah, and again, I feel like Leonard's making it bad. Like it may not be his forever person, but he could still have a fun time or a good evening. There's nothing
Yeah.
about her saying like this is the worst evening. He's not being robbed. So
Yeah.
um Leonard says, well, maybe I have self-respect. Howard's like, I didn't know that. And he says it's relatively new. Joy returns from the bathroom and says she needs a date for her cousin's wedding. And as bad as Leonard's saying this is, when she says that it's an open bar, she'll be giving it away. Leonard says he looks forward to it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, changed his tune.
exactly. And I did laugh at his face. His straight face was like, for him to bitch so much, and he's like, I'm gonna look forward to it. It was a great turn. So that was a good story technique, I guess. Back at the apartment, the final scene, Sheldon's on the computer talking to Amy's mom. Second guest star for the episode, Annie O'Donnell. And so I did a little rabbit hole on this. She has like been in everything. Like her list goes on and on. And I swear I've seen her and stuff, but nothing really clicked. Although I did look into, she was in a show I watched as a kid, like in the very early 90s, called Erie, Indiana. And
Yeah, I watched that too.
she was in an episode called, what was it? Oh man, I didn't write it down. No, I didn't. Anyways, she's in an episode where the main character gets chosen as like a prince or harvest prince or something, and he has to go in the woods, and it's like he's going to be eaten by a werewolf, or I don't remember the whole thing. But when I was looking this up, what I did find is she guest starred in it with Stephen Root, who is it's weird because he was so young, I didn't recognize his face at all. But his voice triggered something. I own the series, or the season 1, I guess, of Erie, Indiana. I was streaming it just to watch this episode, and his voice hit like a spot. And I'm like, that's Finn's dad in Adventure Time. If you ever watch Adventure Time, Finn's dad has a very distinct voice. More recently, he was in Barry. He plays Barry's coordinator, who gets Barry to kill people. Yes. Furthermore, and I didn't realize this until I looked him up a little bit. He
does have a very distinguishable voice, yeah.
Right? He's also Milton in Office Space, who says, that's my stapler. I think you have my stapler. So anyways, it was hilarious to look Annie O'Donnell up and like see the show, and I'm like, holy shit, I recognize like half these people from other things. So she's been in a lot. It seems like I recognize her, but I couldn't pinpoint any specific thing. I'm like, oh, I remember her exactly from that.
Well, I actually looked at her IMDb too, and a fun little thing is Bernadette, Melissa Rauch. Her new TV show is Night Court.
Oh yeah.
Well, Annie O'Donnell was actually in the original Night Court. And she recently reprised her role as the same character.
It's a reoccurring character.
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So they're both back on Night Court.
Nice. I haven't watched any of the new series, but she's like the daughter of the judge or something, right?
I've never seen any of it, so I don't really know.
I used to watch the old one. I remember like I'd watch it right before I went to bed, and like I didn't really understand any of it. I was too young, but I felt like an adult. I'm like, Night Court, I'm watching a court show.
Night Court.
Night Court. And Sheldon's trying to play off his role and says that he is a real boyfriend and he's having regular intercourse with Amy. They are like wild animals in heat. Right? His pheromones are all going. Amy says they have to go. Her loins are stirring with a hunger for Sheldon. And Sheldon says it's time to make love to your daughter's vagina. And as they close the laptop, I love that Amy's mom just kind of goes, ah! I don't even know what noise that is. I said moans in shock. gasp, I guess. I don't know. Sheldon asks if
I know she brought it up. She brought it upon herself. Mother, you told me you wanted me to find a boyfriend. Here he is.
You're asking for evidence. There you go. Sheldon asks Amy if maybe they should engage in coitus at least once, just, to experiment. And she like kind of is shocked, and he goes, bazinga! So they're not going to have sex quite yet. Then he says it's bedtime. You can show yourself out, and goes on to bed. So they do get each other, even though it's awkward. So that's the episode. And I have the vanity card. Yeah. Vanity card. I can just go into it unless there's something else.
No, let's do it.
Number 303, famous quotes. I'm going to just say the names first. Friedrich Nietzsche. Sometimes my life seems to be a never-ending succession of unhappy women. Teddy Roosevelt. Restaurant bathroom doors should be identified with the words men and women, silhouettes and cartoon drawings of sombreros, bowler hats, puffy skirts, and pretty mouths do not provide enough information for drunks. Catfish Hunter. Jesus' last supper was clearly not organized to encourage conversation. Lao Tzu. My memory of you is better than you. I like that one. Words of a prophet written on a subway wall in tenements hall. Erectile dysfunction commercials cause erectile dysfunction. And there we go, Chuck Lorre.
That one's they're always unique.
Unique. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yep. Well, I don't need to scroll very hard to count these. We got 2 IQ points.
2 IQ points. And I got... Where did I go? I got to reorganize my stuff. There we go. 1 point, which makes us 108 points not like Sheldon and 105 like Sheldon.
Okay, so you're 3 points not like Sheldon. Above not like Sheldon.
3 points not like Sheldon. But he's moving back up.
I guess we'll see what happens as he gets a little crazier and crazier.
See what happens when Penny comes back. I don't know how we missed that she wasn't in the episode.
I cannot believe I never noticed that. I've never noticed it until now.
I like that. I was like, got to the introduction. I'm like, wait, Penny's not even here. Wow.
Yeah, she still got paid for it.
Good for her. That's the dream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, the best dream was Lena Headey at the final season of Game of Thrones.
Which one was she?
Because she only had like Cersei.
Oh yeah.
She only had like 5 lines of dialogue in the entire last season. All she did was stare out a window and drink wine. And she got paid like millions of dollars like per episode.
Yeah, but she was so drunk the whole time. Oh yeah, that is good.
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
But all right.
Good episode. Bernadette really made this one for me. I'm so happy she's back, and I like her with Howard. So I'm, good episode. I'm glad to see where this is going.
Yep. The future looks bright for everyone. Well, hopefully it looks bright for Leonard.
I saw the next episode. It's called like the Irish Pub something. So I'm excited. I love Irish pubs. I love me some Kilkenny and Guinness.
Oh, this one's good. I already watched it. I got like maybe 5 episodes ahead. I just decided to watch it. And this one's good.
I was gonna say too. I have some friends who just went to Italy. And they stopped by an Irish pub, and I don't know the whole workings. What I do know is Corey ended up with he goes up and he goes, like, they have liters of beer, and he's got, I'm gonna take a liter of beer, and they're like, what do you want? And he gets a liter of Guinness, and the bartender's like, who the fuck gets a liter of Guinness? We've never seen anybody get a liter of Guinness. And it's the liter that he's carrying around of Guinness. But I'm like, that's a smooth beer. It goes down easily. So
That's kind of shocking that with all the American tourism, like we don't really know Irish beers.
yeah.
So it's
Oh,
like,
but to be fair, it's an Irish pub in Italy, so it's all over the place.
oh, okay, that's fair. Okay.
Like I feel like if they were in Ireland, that should be pretty standard. Like maybe
Yeah.
not every night, but reasonable that they've seen it before. I'll take a liter of Guinness. Yeah.
Did he finish it?
Apparently he did. He got it.
Yeah.
Good for
Nice.
him.
Had a boy.
I'm gonna air quote that. He finished it.
How many pints in a liter?
I want to say 3. Let me look this up.
Yeah, I can see Corey putting that down.
It's really not that much. It's just the fact that it kind of goes flat and gets a little warm towards the end.
I thought I heard something like, I could be completely wrong. Any Irish fans out there, but I heard traditionally, or at least usually, you're supposed to have a Guinness warmer than you'd think. Like in America, everything is about having it ice cold and everything like that. But apparently, like I had like an old boss like years ago that spent some time in Ireland. I remember him telling me that you're supposed to have a Guinness more or less like room temperature. Is that true?
I've not heard that, but I do know that stouts are generally served, or they're supposed to be served a little bit warmer than other beers. Crisp, refreshing beers are supposed to be a little bit colder. And I also know that different carbonations hold at different levels. And so, like, if you're using nitrogen, that might be part of it too. And I also know that it might be getting confused with English beers. And English beers, they have casks and they have gravity pumps, and they serve those at room temperature. So there might be a couple of things going on there. But I remember hearing that, yeah, between the carbonation, which is nitrogen as opposed to CO2, nitro, and it being a dark beer, those two might be part of it.
Okay.
But I don't know any of the actual degrees or anything. I'm like, fuck it. If I get it cold, that's lucky enough for me. If it still has carbonation, I'm good to go.
Well, if Corey did end up drinking it more or less room temperature, then he was doing it more authentically.
Yeah. So liter apparently is only 33.8 fluid ounces, so it's only like 2 pints.
That's like nothing.
Yeah. So it just looked really big, and I don't know, but like I guess everybody just drinks pints and forgets how much they're actually consuming. Yeah, it's a little over 2 pints, 2.11.
Okay.
Not too bad, but it looks bigger. I remember when I was in Paris, I ever tell you the story about the framboise?
Maybe, but go on.
So I was having Lindeman's framboise, raspberry, and I was with my parents and my wife at the time. Actually, she might have been my girlfriend. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But we stopped by a place that you could get a pitcher of beer of anything you wanted. And we got it. And I mean, it's a pitcher of beer. And we shared it because it's a pitcher of fucking beer. And we got Lindemann framboise, the raspberry flavored, kind of sour, tart, sugary beer. And the thing is with that, like, it's hard to consume like more than a pint of that because it is so sweet that it's very, rich, I guess. And maybe you could, but it gets a little tough just because it is so sweet and sour. It's a little tart. And we're like, that was great. We should go back there. It's really cheap. You get a pint of it. And we went back the next day, and the bartender's like, no, you can't share pitchers. If you want a pitcher, you drink it all yourself from the pitcher. And we're like, who's going to get a pitcher of like Lindemann framboise, like this syrupy beer, raspberry beer? And first of all, like,
how did they not catch it the first time?
Yeah, we kind of assume what happened was the framboise is quite a bit more expensive than the other beers they have on tap. Like usually it has like a cork in the bottle and it's tied down with wires. It's a fancy beer. So I'm guessing it was more expensive, and they don't have people come in and get a picture of that. And when we did it, they were probably like, oh shit, we shouldn't let that go again. We lost money on that. And so when he came in again, I think they're like trying to find a way for not to give it to us.
Like, these people are back.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like Hawaiian Punch. Can you drink a whole pitcher of Hawaiian Punch in like one setting? It's not going to happen. That's a lot of Hawaiian Punch.
Maybe get something salty to go with it. Some chicken tenders, a little onion rings. Maybe I could.
A little snacky.
Or in Mrs. Wolowitz's case, some Oreos. Was it Oreos and Hawaiian Punch?
Like Oreos and Hawaiian Punch. You know how I feel about Hawaiian Punch, man. It's tastes as good going down as it does coming up, I guess.
I haven't had Hawaiian Punch in years. Oh my god.
Do they still make the stuff with the guy with the antlers?
I have not been down the juice or soda aisle in a year. Yeah, I just don't really do sodas. We try not to do a lot of juice and everything like that. And thankfully, Hunter isn't super into juice.
I do orange juice in the mornings
for a 2-year-old.
And sometimes I do apple juice. Like if I'm smoking something, I want some apple juice to inject or marinate or something, or I'll drink the rest of it if I don't use all of it. But
he's talking about smoking meats, everyone. So chill out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'll have to go look.
You know what I'm talking about? Does he have a name, the antler guy?
Hawaiian Punch guy?
Hawaiian Punch guy? It's not like the height or the Kool-Aid man, whose name is very original too. Hawaiian Punch guy, Kool-Aid man.
Yeah, I have to go to the store tomorrow in the morning, so
look it up.
I'll take a gander.
But yeah, that always I just imagined some person who's going to become horribly sick just chugging a pitcher of Liniment Framboise. Like, oh, it's so sugary.
Well, all right. Anything else to add?
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Theoretical Nonsense Pod. Again, don't forget to email us at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. Our email has been very lonely. Let us know what you think of season 4. Let us know what you did over the holidays. We like hearing stories. We like hearing from you. And we will see you next time when we discuss season 4, episode 6, The Irish Pub Formulation.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for listening. Happy New Year. This was Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required. Our intro and outro music is by Alex Grohl. Thanks for listening. You got softer. Weird.